So this video is going to have a rather long preamble, and if you don't want to sit through that, I'm going to put a timecode here that you can go to for the actual review, and there will also be chapters down below. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video.
Being a creative individual has become kind of a unique conundrum these days, and honestly it is something that I have been pondering both on the outside looking in, but also been directly influenced by. It is something I care deeply about, not just because of my privileged position as being a YouTuber who has a following of creative individuals who, at least partially, care what I have to say and what I think, but also because for as long as I remember, I have enjoyed the process of being creative. I have written stories, I've produced music, I've drawn, I made some small movies for college. Heck, believe it or not, I even had a rap single in my younger days.
And yes, it was the cringiest white boy rap you have ever heard.
I'm a spiritual, lyrical individual, spiritual, miracle, lyrical individual, spiritual, miracle individual.
Now, with the exception being my art, and unless you are a weird creepy stalker, you have most likely not seen or heard any of these things. And frankly, most of that comes down to none of it being published. And it wasn't because I didn't think it was good enough. I mean, just take a trek down some of my previous videos and you can see that quality control on the stuff I produced back in the day isn't exactly the highest priority. No, it was because I didn't really care about it being published. Sure, at some point you might like to dream yourself away to a world where you're getting awards and high praise for what you've done, and I for certain am no exception. But the biggest drive for me is just the act of creating. This process is something I find inspiring, cathartic and fulfilling. I love the process of starting from scratch and learning and improving. A series of problem solving in real time. Like, oh, I can't draw this hand very well, and you then look up how to do it and you get somewhere closer, but you still struggle with it, and you keep trying, and as you keep going and take mental notes, eventually those hands end up looking pretty good. I'm proud to be one of the people who has the ability to look behind me and go, wow, I've sure come a long way. And that feeling can be immensely rewarding and sometimes being the push I need when I'm going through a tough patch in life.
Which is the thesis statement of this video that I made that not nearly enough of you assholes have bothered checking out. Trust me, watch it, you will thank me for it.
Today we have almost infinite resources when we want to learn a new trait. If you can't figure something out, chances are you can find a YouTube video of an 11-year-old boy from India with a deep fried mic and a Bandicam watermark in the corner of the video, giving you the exact steps you need to solve your problem. And that goes for fixing your DVD player, or how to code an Excel spreadsheet, to how to 3D model a face, or how to play Freebird on a banjo. Art programs have also come a long way. Many now provide 3D assets you can use for referencing your art, or has incredible plugins to trivialize a lot of your artistic process. Heck, you wanna pick up literally any instrument, and I'll bet you can find exact guides on how to copy the songs you like right on the glorious internet. It has never been easier to be a creative individual.
But some people want it even easier.
We are, of course, today talking about the use of AI. AI has seen an insane boom in the past couple of years, and it's not just the fucking planet that is suffering from this. No, it is also creative individuals. And that is despite what these AI users, dubbed AI bros, will tell you. See, AI bros like to tell you that AI has simply lowered the insanely high skill bar to make stuff. Like, they don't have the $8,000 to spend on a Cintiq and a computer and an art program and a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. And while that may be true, especially the subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud, like bro fuck me, all of those tools are just that, tools. Bro, you wanna start drawing? Here's something you can afford.
I'm using a disposable HB mechanical pencil, but anything that you've got at home is absolutely fine, and maybe a rubber, because in life you make mistakes, but we'll put that aside for now. You'll have a really lovely day, and I'll of course see you soon.
Bro, go to your local bank and you can get a pencil and a sheet of paper for free. Now, is there a country mile and a half from doing art with a pencil to fully rendered pieces like this? Absolutely, but you can get there with just some colored pencils and a sheet of paper. Fucking poor Stanley Lau, better known as Art Germ, are doing these fantastic pieces all with traditional tools, and he is one of the most common prompts when AI bros make their machine pump out art, cause they wanna replicate his style. You think Lars Ulrich, famous drummer from Metallica and kind of crazy person when it comes to piracy, started out drumming with a $20,000 drum set? No, dude probably started drumming his hands on his desk, and that's free. Bro, a ton of people who make 3D models for movies and games and other jobs probably had their start with Blender, which is also free. Or heck, maybe they pirated their software, I don't know. Point is that it was never about affordability. So the next thing these AI bros will say is that, oh, well, I don't have the time to dedicate myself to this. And to that I will say,
how thoroughly bitch-made are you?
So it has been no secret that last year I picked up 3D modeling kind of to prove a point. In fact, I have mentioned that quite a few times now and I should probably stop. While doing this, I worked a full-time job. I went to the gym 3 times a week. Mondays were spent visiting my sick grandma, Fridays were spent on date night with my girlfriend at the time, and all the while I still had to produce videos for this channel and hang out with my friends and what have you. And in that time, I went from not knowing what a vertex is to modeling a 1-to-1 copy of Metal Gear Rex from the ground up. Heck, I started this year doing art that looks like this to art that looks like this. And it's only been 6 months. Shit, while learning how to do 3D and art, I even studied how to cook more advanced stuff on the side just for the fun of it. If you truly want to learn a thing, you will find a way to do so. If I can find 20 minutes to sit down and open Blender while my muscles are screaming in pain from the gym, my eyelids can barely stay open from a full day at work, and my mentals are all fucked cause my grandma keeps forgetting who I am when I visit her, then so can you. If my friend Wojaru can continue to draw while his tablet has stopped working and his country is literally being bombed, then what the fuck is your excuse?
So if it isn't the tools or the time, what is it then? Could it be that you're just fucking lazy? Could it be that you don't want to put in work? You just want instant gratification because you are a bitch?
And I think that's the core part of it. Laziness. You didn't want to dedicate hours of your life to the pursuit of something you care for. Then, can you truly say you care for it at all? Why would I want to experience something you didn't give a fuck about? Why would I read a story no one could be asked to write? Why would I watch a movie no one cared to shoot? Why would I listen to a song no one cared to compose or write the lyrics for? If no one, not even you, could be asked to make the thing, why would someone be asked to experience it? This is such a stupid fucking consumerism mindset to have, and I hate that I have to use the word because I try to stay as clear from any word that ends with ism as possible, but here we are. Like, these people don't want anything meaningful, they just want more. I wouldn't even call it the junk food of media, because at least someone made the junk food you eat. This is just trash pumped out by a machine that's polluting the environment.
And hurting its workers in the process. Because AI art is not a victimless crime.
Just like how it was for NFTs, the people who use these tools don't really seem to know how it actually works. I mean, the creator of NFTs even said that the original idea was to be able to upload an actual image to the blockchain, but those image files were too big for that, so instead it just became a URL. So an NFT is not the quote-unquote ownership of the image, because that technology is currently not possible. It is the quote-unquote ownership of the link that leads to that image. Meaning, you could take this image, sell it as an NFT, and effectively change the image later to be a picture of a spread out asshole And as long as the URL stays the same, no rule has been broken. Heck, many people confused NFT ownership with copyright ownership. Meaning you could hold the copyright for an image while some idiot owned the NFT, but wouldn't be able to do anything with it because they didn't own the copyright for the fucking thing. But no one wanted to talk about that when they grifted NFTs. They just wanted to talk about how much money you could make off of selling pictures online, while trying their hardest to make it sound like, oh no, it's a thing we're doing for you artists. This is good for you. And it's very much the same with AI art. The people who promote AI art like to think that the computer just came up with the image on its own. But that's the thing. It can't. Your computer has never seen a tree, much like how the typical AI bro has never touched grass. So how would your computer know what a tree looks like? This knowledge comes from what is called training data. Training data is essentially a bunch of images fed to a machine, and the machine has then, through deep learning and AI, learned this is a tree and this is a ball. And through enough images, have learned all the different shapes, colors, and sizes these things come in.
So how does AI know what a big-titted goth waifu is? Well, I'll tell you.
There are unfortunately a lot of examples of this, but I wanna especially talk about Knudson. In 2022, the platform Midjourney that is used to create AI art were caught having a bot called Knudson follow almost 1 million different artists on the art platform ArtStation. This bot was caught following these artists with only one goal in mind: creating datasets of those artists' images. Now, reminder, this bot followed almost 1 million artists, and these artists had at least 10 images on their profiles. Using some American math, 10 times 1 million is basically 1 billion images that this bot stole and made datasets with, all without the artist's consent. It just becomes all the more scummy that the team behind Midjourney was caught doing this and didn't even refer to the artists as, well, artists, but styles. Just dehumanizing the artist completely, huh? And this is not the only instance. Hell, it's not even fucking close. On AI Art's own Wikipedia page, there's almost more text on all the people who are filing lawsuits because their art has been stolen to be unwillingly used to train datasets than there are in any of the other sections, all with unique links to different cases. And yes, I said lawsuits, cause this is in fact theft. And this is a point a lot of AI bros are fighting tooth and nail against, because they claim it's not much unlike how real artists work. You know how I mentioned before that your computer doesn't know what a tree is? Well, a real artist goes out, they look at a tree, they go home, and then they draw a tree based on how they perceive it. Maybe they focus more on the crown, or maybe focus on the actual tree trunk. All of this is deeply personal. They are not replicating an exact copy. They can't. Memory is influenced by personality and all that shit. Heck, this is so personal that psychologists even use a method called the bound test to get an insight into their patient's mentality, all by how they draw a tree. The AI won't do that. The AI doesn't have a personality. Even if you train your AI bot to be a blushy tsundere, that's not a personality. It's just following orders you've given it. So your AI will just take different parts of different images and mash them together, and boom, now you got a tree. If you were to get the total dataset of images used to make the AI picture of this tree, and you had nothing better to do, you should in theory be able to hold up various images and be able to see exactly how this branch from this real image is used exactly in the AI picture. Maybe it's not the entire branch, maybe it's only a small portion of it, but ultimately the image will be a Frankenstein of real images from the dataset smashed together with some AI magic to blend them together in a somewhat seamless manner. In other words, This could be compared to me using a clip from Star Wars in my video to explain a point. I'm still using a small piece for the greater whole of someone else's copyrighted material. The only difference is that I would be using mine in fair use, as I'm changing the nature of the clip by making it informative rather than entertaining, unlike the AI that is using an image to create a different image.
And somehow, I'll still be the one who gets punished for copyright infringement. Oh, wait!
These AI bros will claim they either don't know or care about this. Like, they'll claim no one is getting hurt, but at the same time use specific artist names to tell their AI image generator that, hey, I want to use this artist style to make this work. I even brought it up in passing before, but Artgerm is literally one of the most used prompts for these things. You don't think this is hurting this poor guy financially? But then you got the complete other end of the spectrum, where this feels like it's done with outright malice, with people constantly telling people in the creative field, oh, you'll be replaced with AI before long.
Yeah, so if you are an artist, this has been a really bad week for you. And I want to promise you that it's going to get worse, okay? So if you're an artist and this is upsetting you and you're worried, I want to promise you that it's only going to get worse. This is only the beginning. There will be like man-made horrors beyond the comprehension of the human mind. You don't even know what it's going to be like, right? And I would focus on a career change. Yeah, exactly. And focus, like, go be a plumber or something like that, right?
I'm bored. Let's watch Family Guy funnies.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
It has very much turned into an us versus them kind of mentality. And frankly, who can blame us in the creative field when our work is being illegally taken against our will to be used by someone we have never known or met? Oh, well, I talk like I'm included in this, but I don't think anyone's stolen my chicken scratch or big-titted Amazonians, but hey, maybe one day.
So is AI always a bad thing to use? Well, this is where I will probably be stepping over some toes.
I would never use an AI image generator to create an image. But we also gotta be careful we don't go too crazy about lambasting AI as a whole. People hear how a video game has advanced AI and immediately they'll start throwing chairs around because the word AI has just been turned into the boogeyman. As a person who has used Photoshop since forever, I've used generative fill long before the AI craze, and that's using AI too. But it's not using, or at least it didn't use, AI trained on unethical datasets like an AI image generator like Midjourney. Just like how NFTs that I brought up earlier isn't inherently a bad thing in concept, so too is the usage of AI not always a bad tool. These two have just become so merged with the bad actors who use the things that they themselves have become bad. I think the idea of how AI work is fascinating in terms of the sheer tech that goes on to make it work, but I hate the lack of critical thinking that comes along with it. I mean, to no one's surprise, it's even been proven that people who are overly dependent on ChatGPT over simple Google searches are way dumber and lazier. They probably also smell worse and has a yee-ass haircut.
Fellow.
But yeah, I personally think it's kinda cool to live in this sci-fi-esque world where I can take a photo of some weird stain on my clothes fresh out of the washer and the AI can then tell me, oh, it's cause you need to do this, and it then works. Like, to me, that is sick. But then I also gotta remember that asking that question alone uses up almost just as much energy as fully charging my fucking phone.
Meanwhile, asking the AI to make one of your generic looking bullshit AI pictures with the wonky eyes, the 7 fingers, and where the elements all bleed together uses up as much power as charging up a battery for a laptop that could last it for 10 hours. And that is for one image. Keep that in mind as we go through this comic.
So that probably clocks the longest preamble in all of the Webcomic Relief's history. But I think it is a super interesting topic to talk about, especially in today's day and age, where we are right in the middle of the big AI boom. But we're not here to hear me muse about AI and call AI bros slurs. No, we're here to talk about comics. Now, in the Rooftop Swordmaster video, there was a not insignificant portion of the video spent on donking on the comic for its poor use of 3D models within the comic. And I hope I made it clear why that was an issue, which was that there wasn't any personal influence to the 3D models. They weren't traced or used for reference, the models were just used as is, a complete replacement of the artist's own creativity. So I'm pretty sure we all thought, well, that's the lowest you can go, right? But, as I've kind of proven in my long ass preamble, AI bros have a tendency to go even lower. And so today, we're covering a comic that is completely devoid of a single brushstroke. And had it not been for this long talk about AI art, I'm pretty sure you'd go, oh, so it's a book? But no, this is a comic made entirely with AI art, and honestly, if you told me it was also written by AI, I would believe that too.
It will become clear later why. Trust me.
Today we are covering the comic Chaos City, and now would probably be the time where I would give you some backstory behind the comic. But this comic doesn't really have any footprint whatsoever, because it's not made through years worth of accumulated acumen, but has instead been shed out by some AI image generator. The author, Master Shiro, similarly doesn't seem to have much of a footprint. On the website for this comic, being Manga Plus Creators, it says that they are a sci-fi graphic novel in their 40s and that they're English. I don't really know how much I'm buying into them being in their 40s or English when they describe themselves as being a graphic novel, but maybe that's just me. Try as I have, it's been kinda hard to find out anything about this elusive creator. I kinda get the impression he knows what he's doing is frowned upon. There is this YouTube button here, but it doesn't work, and you just get taken to the YouTube front page. That being said, however, if you right click it and copy the URL and paste it, you'll find that it's linked to an account called Shulek. But I've not been able to find any channels or accounts on anything linked to that name. I can, however, safely assume that if you were ever to find out who Master Shiro was, you would not find a 40-year-old, but probably something more akin to, I don't know, a 14-year-old or something. And I infer that from the fact that as much as they've tried to be very private of who and what they are, their comments on this site are very much public, and you can see such golden nuggets such as, read another of my comics too. For those who dislike AI, go to Art Gallery down the bus stop or DeviantArt website. Here people are looking for story to read and ideas, not criticize artwork. Don't listen to someone named Ray. His problem got no one love him back at home. Doing narration and storytelling is the most difficult thing than drawing. Creativity comes in many ways. The story aren't. Everyone got their own way to tell a story. Please check mine too. Our work not much different. Or my favorite where he says, I only used 40% AI for background. Artwork are mine by pen. Took time to draw. But then earlier contradicted this by saying, you must know how to visualize, otherwise the prompt result becoming something else. Try basic English the better. Of course, AI won't allow gored imagery, so had to use creativity in this one like red splash blood, etc. Heck, what becomes super interesting when looking through these comments is that Master Shiro will even comment on comics that are done with, admittedly, rather poor art like Life Note or Unlimited God, complimenting them and saying how good they are. What, so you mean to tell me you don't have to make super good art to tell a compelling story? You don't have to resort to using AI?
He is like this close to getting it. Anyway, I've kept you guys waiting long enough. This is Chaos City.
heaven is the source of power, the tower absorbs the power somewhere in the Mediterranean continent, the last bastion of human civilization after the apocalypse, the Neo-Babylon. Bro, this sentence damn near fucking killed me. Shit, even writing it in the script was a chore, cause I had to make an active effort in making it worse. Why do most of these words start with capital letters? I can see it for, like, the tower or whatever, but why does is start with a capital I? There are also no periods. This is all just one uninterrupted sentence. Also, I assume with this sun here being similar to the one over here, that this tower that looks like a PlayStation 5 is the tower in question that absorbs the power. But if you look at a tower that is illustrated to show the tower absorbing power, it is not the same tower as the PlayStation tower, because the PlayStation tower has these spikes and the other one doesn't.
You will be shocked, or if you know anything about AI art, then probably not, but you will be shocked how inconsistent these designs are.
So in Sector 4 of what I assume is the Mediterranean continent, there is an uprising between the Sector 4 Federation Army and the Sector 8 Tower and Raven Corps. I'm gonna assume the dudes we see here are the Sector 4 soldiers, and they're led by Lieutenant Kia Amara and her... I think she's supposed to have 2 swords, but it honestly just looks like she got spikes coming out of her hands. Anyway, Kia seems to have a very relaxed approach to how she talks to her men, with her going, "Quick, man! Search the area! Destroy any resistance!"
Yeah, bro, just fucking do wars and shit. Fuck it, man.
There is this funny thing about the comic, and that is that it will damn near never show its character in any other way than from the front, because AI image generators are typically trained on making character art. This means that 9 times out of 10, you don't really know what's going on, as everyone is either looking at or moving towards the proverbial camera. This will leave you terribly confused, because you will never really get a good establishing shot. Like, where is this? It looks like a storage room? Also, Kia is talking about how they finally made a breach on Raven Corps facilities, but it can't be that hard. I've not seen a single opposing unit. There's also this sentence, "the real perpetrator that triggered the war with between the sectors." War with between? The fuck is that supposed to mean? Anyway, we get some more background information about the tower while getting one of our few shots from the back, but this only serves to confuse us, cause before we were in a storage facility and now we're in some place that looks like it has marble columns and fancy architecture. Kia also seems to have put on a shirt now, where before she looked like she had bare arms. Anyway, Kia explains that the war for the tower has been going on for 7 years, and Raven Corps, who have been in charge of the tower, has used its ability to control energy, the sky, and the Earth's orbit to tyrannical rule over every sector.
How it does this and why we are being explained it while looking at what I assume is a bicycle wheel in a laboratory is anyone's guess.
The founder of the Raven Corps is a guy who I am sure is just the chillest and nicest dude in the world, called Raven Darkheart. Maybe it's just me, but I'd frankly be shocked if I found out this guy was a villain. Raven Darkheart? Raven Darkheart has been given authority by every leader of 7th Sector to study a ND share. The fuck's an ND share? Long story short, the 7 sectors came together to study the tower, but Raven Darkheart, in a twist I assure you no one could possibly have seen coming, did an evil thing and decided to use the power of the tower for his own good. I hope just showing you guys this shit is enough for you to get an understanding of how terribly written this shit is. Words will start with capital letters at random, there are spelling errors up the wazoo, and most stunning of all is that you can tell some things are just written wrong. Like 7 Sector, right? You might think it's the name of an organization, but then you pan down and see masses of 7 sectors. And that's not even right either, because it should probably be these 7 sectors to specify the sectors in question. My script is filled with so many blue squiggly lines, because most of the time the words are correct, but the sentence structure is just fucked. It legit feels like this was written in, I don't know, fucking Chinese, and then translated to English using a really shitty translator that doesn't understand syntax. Also, if it isn't clear, Masashiro is lazy as fuck, so no effort is made in framing any of these panels. there are rarely any work put into the voice bubbles, and multiple pages are filled with this horrible text, and the text isn't even, put somewhere where it doesn't get in the way or helps emphasizing what is being said. Nah, son, just fucking put that shit in the middle of the page. Don't worry about it covering the subject completely or even overlapping the gap between two panels.
I was gonna say, not that I want to see it, but that's not entirely true, because I've kind of grown a sort of interest in seeing super shitty AI art and just laugh at it, because that makes me feel better about myself.
So Raven Darkheart, who I could swear I once saw helping an old lady across the street, is using the power of the tower to control the 7 sectors. By threat of its almighty power, he is demanding that each sector sends 10 people to Ravencorp each year to be live test subjects for their experiments. Now, I've kind of neglected to show this, but between pages, there's been these images of a girl in a water-filled bubble, typically followed by some organ. I'm gonna assume she's being created within this bubble or something. I bring this up because I think we then see what I think is her standing in a black void. Also, this shot here is the exact same image as literally on the page prior. In fact, every shot of the girl in the bubble for the past 3 pages has been the exact same image. Yeah, I don't know if this will surprise you, but AI bros are lazy as fuck. Speaking of lazy, we then get this next image that had me audibly laughing out loud, because it is just the same image as before but scaled way the fuck up, to the point where you can see the pixels making her look all grainy. Also, she looks all wonky-eyed. Her right eye is way lower than the left, and it's also smaller. There's also Sephiroth here, drawn with a completely different art style. Again, because the comic insists on almost only showing us its characters from the front, I have no idea where he is compared to the girl. So I think he's telling the girl she has to unlock the tower door by finding 5 other people, but it's very unclear. Not because it's that typical unclear dream thing, but because the text is so dark water. Bro, the first voice bubble literally says in full, "Key to unlock the tower door." You don't want to start the sentence, my guy? You're just gonna drop me into the middle of it? The 2 next bubbles don't make it any easier with them going, "The other 5, they are just the key." Oh, okay, so I guess with him saying just the key means it's not that important, right? But no! Assemble them all to forge a key. So you need me to gather 5 people who are keys so I can assemble them to forge a key. But also don't worry about them because they are just the key. Meaning you're kind of telling me they are rather insignificant.
Master Shiro will say that the AI art isn't that important, because at the end of the day, it is really just a vehicle for you to get through the story. Yeah? But what the fuck if the writing is even worse?
Anyway, the girl in the bubble wakes up in what I can only assume is the lab of a giant, because the girl is the approximate size of this bottle here. She also looks rather chill about waking up. Why my lips? That is a good question, lady. Oh, but I see you didn't include the question mark, so I guess it wasn't a question? Anyway, Kier finds the girl in the lab and she then points her sword at her like a gun. Also, the girl's body keeps changing in size, which is comedically highlighted by them being put immediately next to each other. So you can see at first she looks like she's, 14-ish years old, and then she's suddenly probably 20-ish years old, and has gotten a whole one-piece swimsuit. Wasn't she wearing a whole ass dress before? Also, not that I'm defending the usage of AI for making the art of your comic, but Master Shiro shot themselves in the foot by making the 2 main characters now have the exact same hair color and length. The comic is already playing fast and loose with just about everything in Kia's design, making her jacket longer and shorter, going from giving her shorthand gloves to elbow pads to full-on mechanic gauntlets, and changing her hair from black to white. But now you're gonna have someone who looks identical to her, who is subject to the same level of inconsistency, and ask us to tell them apart.
But no, I only use AI for 40% of the Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Anyway, Kia keeps a watch on the bubble girl and kicks her when she moves, which makes the girl go, "Ow, big meanie. What's wrong with you, Kia? Kicking big bro like that? How do you know Kia's name? Are you saying this out loud? The fuck do you mean big bro? I mean, not to assume your gender here or anything, but what the fuck?" So you know how Kia talked about how they've been fighting for the control of the tower for 7 years? Yeah, they just kinda did that shit off screen. We didn't see them interact with a single opposing force, mind you. Shit, Kia sent her troops in to do stuff while she was checking out the lab, yet she's the one who gets selected to be the new master of the tower by what I think is one of the evil scientists of the tower. What authority do you have, bro? Are you not a prisoner of war at this point? Anyway, the girl from the pod and her mutant feet apparently can't talk because her lips are sealed shut, and she doesn't have any vocal cords. So they're going to help her with that. They, as in whoever is instructed by the evil scientist POW, I guess. When the girl wakes up, she finally has a voice again. Wow, that plot lasted for a grand total of 9 frames. Anyway, the girl walks up to look herself in the mirror, where she's shocked to find that she is a girl. I mean, that'd surprise anyone, but I'm more shocked that she went from wearing a single shirt to somehow wearing 2 at once. Also, I love how Master Shiro could clearly not get the AI to make a girl touch her crotch, so instead they opted to just write it.
Now, I know you might be thinking, wow, Riser, you sure have complained a lot about the comic. How deep into the story are we? And I'll tell you. We're 27 pages in. I have skipped about half of it. And there's about 2 frames on every page. This is how terrible it is.
It is hinted that the bubble girl is someone called John Arakan, captured within this girl with the 6 fingers. Also, gotta love how this lab has bare visible bricks. Hey, where was that in the original establishing shot? Anyway, we then see yet another iteration of the tower, which, shocking, I know, doesn't look anything like the 2 other iterations of it that we have seen. We also see Kia, who is now in full-on samurai armor. The scientist Loki appears, and his face is fucked. Loki explains to John that he is now a girl, but is interrupted when the phone rings. It should also be stated that in every single shot, Loki looks different. His hair changes, his outfit changes, heck, he goes from looking like an adult to a teenager. At one point they teleport from a lab to some kind of oriental house or some shit. Also, again, you can tell this shot of Loki is scaled way the fuck up, with him suddenly looking super grungy and pixelated. And it should probably also be noted that initially, the comic read from right to left. Heck, the comic still wants us to read panels from right to left, but now, for whatever reason, it wants us to read panels from right to left, but voice bubbles from left to right. Also, I think it's hilarious that there's this text down here saying, Loki explains everything to John. Motherfucker, how about you explain shit to us too? Also, last little thing, I know Master Shiro says they're English, which I think we can safely assume that they're not. Especially when the ringing of the phone for some reason gets this in there. Now, I don't know if this is Japanese, Korean, or Chinese, or a 4th option, but it doesn't seem like normal English.
Maybe they just added it for extra flair. I doubt it, but fuck it. Everything is possible with this dumbass comic.
So anyway, Loki gets on the horn with someone called Annie. It's funny how the phone rang to him, but he's talking like he's the one who called Annie. While he's on the phone, John is hungry and is going to find some food. Also, notice how she used to have a short-sleeved shirt and now it's just full-on a long-sleeved one. Anyway, she picks up a random fish that's just laying around and starts eating it then and there like a fucking insane person. Loki flips out because the fish were his rare species of fish used for experiments. John apologized with, "Sorry, meow meow."
Truer words had never been spoken.
So I guess Annie shows up after voguing it up. I love how her jacket lapels just kinda hangs loose. Also, her necklace changes and then disappears. There's also some random kanji here, cause okay. Also, I'm assuming this is all taking place in the tower, cause there's been no real moment where John could have been moved. But before that, we clearly saw that they were in some sort of desert outside the tower. But when we see Annie, it's clearly in a metropolitan area with trees and shit. Anyway, Annie shows up and Loki says some gibberish. No, really, that's what it says. Annie is here to take care of John, who is pretending to be Loki's nephew. Not niece, nephew. Also, I guess Annie's big into the Muslim faith by exclaiming Allah when she sees John. Next we got this panel, and reminder, we've been shown ever since John woke up that we are now supposed to read left to right, despite it earlier being right to left. Well, guess how you're supposed to read this frame? Right to left? Nope. Okay, and surely it must be left to right? Also no. This page has you go like this. Also, I like how John calls herself Saori now, and we have this number underneath like it's supposed to mean anything. I guess the 4 can be like an A, 1 can be an I, and the 0 can be like an O. But in what world is a 9 an R? Anyway, as they're driving, and that is Annie behind the wheel by the way, Saori exclaims that Annie should wait because she needs to pin up her hair. Bro, she's driving. She doesn't have to stop the car for you to pin up your hair. Also, you don't have it pinned up in the next frame. This is clearly just because Masashiro couldn't get the AI image generator to create a girl who had her hair down in this scene. So he bullshitted a rave for why she would have it tied up like this.
It's so fucking lazy.
So because Annie keeps exclaiming Allah, Saori comments that she talks funny, asking Annie if she's trying to groom her, which is a completely normal thing to ask people. I mean, shit, I could swear I've heard Glib say that a bunch of times. The two go and eat, but as they're eating, a group of masked terrorists show up sporting assault rifles, taking Annie and Saori hostage, and then... Oh my god. Okay, no word of a lie, right? When I saw this frame, I was laughing hysterically for like 15 minutes straight. I swear to God. Cause like, they clearly liked this shot of Saori and wanted to use it for the scene. So much so that they upscaled her to the point where we get that horrible artifacting, right? But I guess it didn't feel like it conveyed properly that she was caught mid-eating. So they just added this gigantic fucking spoon hovering in mid-air. So it's finally time for action. Despite there having been an entire hostile takeover, it is finally time for us to see some AI-generated actual fighting. And boy, it does not disappoint in how absolute fucking dog water it is. This is hands down the funniest fight scene I have ever seen in my entire life. And for all the wrong reasons. Cause fucking look at this, bro. Why the fuck? How did she get such a comedically oversized fork? Homie, that thing is as big as her arm. You know, the arm that is her right hand on her left arm. Also, I don't even know what she's supposed to be doing. I think she's cutting them with a fork? I also don't know what the fuck is supposed to be happening here. Are those the prongs of the fork? Also, no one is moving in relation to whatever Saori is doing. Everyone just stands up for a photo op. Anyway, Saori beats them all somehow, including this innocent bystander. I assume he's an innocent bystander because everyone else was wearing a mask. The cops then arrive and arrest the terrorists. Now, AI is infamously terrible at making letters, but what is funny is that here it seemed to do a good job at it. If the fucking thing wasn't mirrored for some stupid reason.
You know how I said in a previous video that Melissa's art was so fun to experience in Epic Chaos just because there's always something interesting happening in the background? Well, this is kind of the same, but you enjoy it because everything sucks ass and it's funny to see how much ass it sucks.
Somewhere else, I guess, there is this hacker called D Aimtracks. who says, and I quote, "My Sibe these people no use, so fail. Ask them to kidnap people, and police got them first, Lou. I don't even have a joke for this. I am legit stumped." He then kisses this girl, and that is just fucking Cammy. Straight up just Cammy from Street Fighter. But as much as I wanna bitch about that, I noticed something, right? The yellow drink in his hand. Now, I thought I was just making things up earlier, right? But there's this moment where I could have sworn the badges of the soldiers were colored, but it was so muted that I thought it was just artifacting. But now I'm pretty sure it's just because the prompts Master Shiro used to make the comic includes them making the AI to make it black and white. And sometimes the AI just shits the bed and makes it in color. Fucking amazing. Anyway, D. Aimtrax spits some more wisdom, so allow me to quote once again. Mild Tumulu I want you to bomb 3 buildings. Need to teach that Loki. Not to play with D. Aimtrax. He fucked me. I fuck him la. And then he chugs one of his 2 drinks.
Bro, slow down. No one's going to take your drink.
Annie and Sari drive home to Annie's place, and I like how Sari's arms are bent like she's behind the wheel, but we've already established Annie's the one driving. We then, for some reason, move to Loki, who is saying okay, I'm sure it's important and epic and whatever, but why the fuck are there just whole ass stormtroopers behind you, my guy? Anyway, before Loki can explain why he's hanging out on the fucking Death Star or whatever, we move on to Saori asking how a woman pees. And that's it. Thanks for that, Saori. Also, for whatever reason, I think now we're supposed to read the frames from left to right, as I assume the image next to Saori in the shower is supposed to be an establishing shot. So we have now had the comic asking us to read the panels from right to left, and read the voice bubbles from right to left, to read the voice bubbles from left to right, to now also read the panels from left to right.
I get that AI is inconsistent and unpredictable, but this was something that was entirely within your power to control, and you fucked it up.
So after some sexual tension that is somehow more forced than your average Kimono Cafe comic, Saori falls asleep after exclaiming, "Oh, that boobies." While sleeping, she dreams of the past where I think she's John and killing a bunch of dudes. You know, with his backwards katana. Also, it can be a little hard to see, but I think his leg is pointing the wrong way. In this panel, we get another one of those issues where it looks like the sword is coming out of the hand rather than him holding a sword. Anyway, I think he loses and turns into Potential Man from Jujutsu Kaisen. He then gets captured and he is then turned into the forgotten protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen. Bro, why is he stands up with chains like a promo for a gay porno magazine? He explains that he was captured and injected with metallic liquid so that he could be confined in a magnetic prison. So my guy has been turned into a girl, French, Megumi, and Yuji, and now he's Wolverine too. Fuck it. Meanwhile, Raven Darkheart, who is surprisingly a girl, has gotten dreadlocks. At least I think that's her. Also, apparently John's supposed to be stuck to the wall due to the magnetism thing, but we can clearly see that both his legs and his 2 arms are freely hovering away from the wall. So when he says, "Damn bitch, I'd fuck you up if I could move," he's clearly talking out of his ass. Oh, also, we are back to moving from right to left in the panels, but we are now back to reading the voice bubbles from left to right, when they were before right to left. Anyway, Saori wakes up and her and Annie are moving back to HQ, and we then see our 4th iteration of the tower.
And frankly, this is where I'm going to stop the first impressions, because honestly, it is taking an active effort, due to how shitty this is, to understand what the fuck is going on in the comic.
So what can I say about first impressions? I mean, it should be obvious, but this is fucking ass. When you first pick up the comic, it might be rather obvious at first that this is done with AI, and so you might prepare yourself for that. And, you know, you kind of dig your own grave when you make the art entirely with AI, so that's on you. But that's saying nothing of all the human errors in this. the weird switching in reading direction and panel reading, to the broken, awful English, to just the curious choice in what has been given a free pass to be used, is stunning to me. Every time you read a new page, you have to play a Russian roulette with what direction to read the fucking thing in. Sometimes left to right, sometimes right to left. Sometimes you start on either side and meet in the fucking middle, and no, I am not kidding. Like, if I was to make a piece using AI, right? Like, I'm obviously not, because I have a soul, but let's pretend I was. I wouldn't just get an image and go, sure, and post it. I would take my time to look it over and ensure it is exactly how I wanted it. But here, it really feels like the art came before the story. Like the AI spat out Saori fighting with a giant fork, and then Masashiro wrote that into what was happening. There is just no quality control whatsoever. Motherfucker, on this page here, it literally has placeholder text right fucking there.
This comic, more than anything, has just proven to me that it was never about time, money, or tools, or whatever the fuck. It has always been about lazy cunts who wants the same accolades as the people who have worked hard and put blood, sweat, and tears into something without lifting a finger. A teenager wrote this. I know that Masashiro likes to say they're in their 40s or whatever the fuck, but no, this is a teenager who wrote this. And I'm pretty sure this teenager eats Scrabble.
This story is ass, and I know I'm probably not surprising any of you when I say that. Now, I've already given you a small taste of what the comic has to offer, and I assure you, it is all downhill from here. Because thus far, the comics just tried to introduce us to the plot and characters, if you could even call them that. And that's been bad, sure. But it is when it starts to want to do stuff with that plot and those characters that shit gets truly awful. In a previous video, don't recall which, and I'm frankly too lazy to look it up, I mentioned how when you got really immature writing, stuff always happens for the sake of stuff happening. Downtime where characters talk is for losers and people who play Cristiano Ronaldo in City of the Wolf. So that's like 4 people or something. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that immature writing has a ton of stuff happening because they effectively think up scenes they really like and then kinda just loosely connect those scenes after the fact. And because it's all about making those cool scenes happen, the value and weight of those scenes is either negligible or completely forgotten altogether, and everything between those scenes is kinda made up on the fly. This comic has that shit in spades. Like, remember that terrorist attack? Yeah, that just happens, and then nothing comes of it. I guess Masashiro just wanted an excuse to show how good Saori was at fighting with her cartoonishly big fork. You might think that the terrorist organization Hades 88 starts targeting the protagonist in retaliation, but no, they do it because the leader is related to Loki, I guess. Also, that shit never gets brought up again, but don't worry about it. But that's small shit, that's baby stuff. How about when Saori has to infiltrate the Hades 88, she meets up with Cammy by singing Feeling Good by Nina Simone, which the comic for some reason calls Dawn of the New Day. And I know for a fact it's this song, because the comic has the full fucking lyrics in there. I guess when you're 14, the amount of songs you know with brass in them is kinda limited. After getting Cammy's attention, Cammy then takes Saori to the bathroom and finger no-nos her against her will. Now, this is horrible, right? Terrible. Heck, even the comic itself says the scene is too much to show in the comic, which honestly feels tasteless in and of itself. And we can clearly see on Saori's face how much this has impacted her. Except JK, she's right as rain, and just looks a little annoyed at best later. But surely, after having gone through all of that, she's undercover, and so now she can get a lot of information about the terrorist organization, their actions, and their plan. Yeah, no, she just fucking attacks them.
Which, in case it wasn't immediately obvious, makes everything up to this point completely redundant.
It is also, as mentioned before, obviously clear that the writing is happening now and being published 5 seconds later. The story has not been written out or anything before it is produced. This leads to things just kind of changing in a similar vein to the art. Like returning to that example of Cammy, she is supposed to be this super heavy drinker, but I swear to God, it is only ever shown in like 2 single voice bubbles where she starts having the hiccups. When she starts squaring off against Saori, Saori will also ask her why she hates her so much, but then during her justification, Cammy just kinda ends up agreeing that she doesn't really dislike the girl she finger no-noed. She just did it because Saori's whole deal is she's supposed to steal Cammy's secret power that she never uses. But then she mentions how she's fine with giving up her power, she just doesn't want to give it up for free and just wants to fight. But that's only after she finds out that Saori is the chosen one, and she finger no-noed her way before finding this out, so that doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh no, but she actually finger no-noed her, cause that way she can, and I'm not making this up, smell Saori on her fingers and through that tell that she's not highborn, thus seeing through her cover. So it was actually all just a, if you'll excuse the expression, probing technique to see who Saori really was. Don't you have X on your face? Yeah, except Saori never mentions anything about her background, so this proves jack shit.
Masahiro just wanted to have the girls going at it with each other, but couldn't come up with a good enough reason as to why, so they tried to bullshit a reason for it later, but it doesn't make any sense, so it just becomes even more ass. This comic is atrocious, okay?
In fact, the more you read, the comic starts coming across as rather sinister. Now, I want you to remember that all of this is coming from a comic where the second lieutenant of a massive terrorist organization who finger no-nos people against their will says shit like this. Just so we're on the same page. Anyway, as you read more and more of the comic, you quickly come to find out that the author clearly has some sort of fascination with lesbians. And I can for the life of me not tell you whether it's a good or bad fascination. Every single time, without fail, that 2 or more girls are on screen alone, there's either sexual tension, plenty of double entendres, actual sexual shit, or mentioning of lesbian stuff. The girls are also always placed super close to each other just to gay bait you some more. Every female character also has to have some sort of sexual angle to them. This chick here literally sucks the memories out of a man's brain, but hey, because she's a woman, she also has to get wet from this cause women, I guess. If you think I'm reaching, there's even a character whose first meeting with Saori is her asking if Saori is a lesbian.
Not since Made in Abyss has the author's poorly disguised fetish been so apparent.
Also, remember that the aim tracks that I kept having to quote because what he said made no fucking sense? Yeah, I don't think it's just the comic's normal dog shit translation errors. I think it's legit just the comic making a horrible stereotypical Asian accent. Because he's the only one with this issue. And when he wants to say government agent, instead he says Gapaman Agen. Heck, later, there's a clearly African man, and every effort is made to ensure he keeps his quote-unquote funny accent in the text.
You ever make something so bad that when you're trying to be blatantly racist, people don't pick up on it because it just drowns out in everything else bad about the comic?
Also, the comic suffers from a severe identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to be. At one moment we're having cute animal girls being quirky, eating live fish off the floor cause she thinks it's sushi, and the next we got terrorist bombings of children. At one point we got a modern day soldier, the next we got magic spells. And not just, energy blasts or what have you. No, at one point Annie just starts sprouting angel wings. Bro, the comic full on has orcs at one point. At one point it wants to be super science fiction, the next it wants to use biblical concepts which, should be hype, but it's handled so poorly that it comes across as ass instead. The comic is clearly trying its hardest not to use locations from the real world to have some plausible deniability in this being a fantasy world, yet it is not afraid to show an image of the fucking Holocaust and calling it an instance of the wrath of God. For the first fight, the characters seem to go hard on martial arts, but then in volume 2, yes, the fucking thing has volumes, characters are destroying whole mountains with beams. The comic feels like a mishmash of ideas that weren't vetted properly, so you got a little bit from multiple different works all jammed into one.
I know, no creativity and only stealing from other popular fiction in an AI comic? Impossible! Never in a million years! Massacre even!
So we've cleared up that Master Shiro is not in their 40s. Time for us to cover that they're not English either. The dialogue in this comic feels like it is actively reaching out through your screen and kneading your brain like mincemeat, making you dumber. Not one, not a single fucking sentence in the entire breadth of this comic is without flaws. And it is all grammar errors. Words will have capital letters, some won't. Some sentences will end up with a comma, some with 2 periods. Some won't even have a period at the end. There are sentences like this where someone goes by and then follows it up with which. Like honestly, if you want to have some honest to God fun with this comic, try and read aloud some of these sentences. They are so poorly constructed, it reads like a joke out of Kung Pao.
That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that?
The reason I'm inclined to believe that AI also wrote the story is because the biggest issue with AI is consistency. And my god, does this comic lack that. Its characters are a shining example of this. You will not once find a character that stays consistent. They will always be exactly what the story needs at this point in time. You might think Loki is supposed to be the sophisticated scientist who's a trickster behind the mask, but no. Well, not exactly no, but he's also just a dude, bro, and a funny fall for jokes. You might think Saori is supposed to be this innocent, jovial character who has issues finding herself in a female body, but no. Saori especially infuriates me because she just kind of flip-flops between unwise to the world to being super competent to being a silly little anime girl who will eat raw fish off the floor because you think it's sushi, and the next moment she'll be spearheading military operations. Shit, I don't even think she wants to do that, because literally when her objective is in front of her, she'll say some stupid shit like, alright, but can you let me go now? I got shit to do. Maybe that's why later she's both a secret agent and a singer in a nightclub. You know, the best fucking profession for someone to blend in is to become a literal fucking idol on posters singing Van Halen.
I know that a character can and should have nuances, but what the fuck is this?
Speaking of characters, all of these characters suck. Like, have you ever seen a children play performed? Where you have little Jimmy walk out on stage and go, "This isn't scary because I am an inexperienced explorer." Yeah, that shit is better than this. Like fucking... Okay. So there's this chick here, right? She comes from outer space. I know, I thought we were talking about our world, but shut the fuck up. Anyway, she comes from outer space. Yet despite of this, there's not a moment where she's a little awkward or alien in any way. In fact, she's trash talking and cracking jokes while fighting a dude and turning him into Aang the Last Airbender. And because the art is so unreliable, the writing has to make up for it, but it's being done in the worst bumblefuck way I have ever seen, with the characters constantly narrating what they're going to do.
Like I assure you, no matter how bad you think it is, I promise you it is even worse.
I promise you, like hand to God, I was trying to give this comic a chance with its writing. Because it is very clear that Master Shiro thinks this is where the true money is at, right? But frankly, it is so garbage that I think more time has been spent waiting on images to be generated than time has been spent working on the story. I read all the volumes and I still do not fucking know what the comic is about. I've had an easier time piecing together Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and Fear and Hunger lore than I have had piecing together a coherent narrative of this comic. At this point, I'm fairly certain I've spent more time piecing together the comic than Master Shiro has.
You wanna know what the lore is? This is the lore.
Sonichu is all over the place because it is essentially whatever Chris was feeling was hype or interesting or wanted to tackle at that point of her life. So if she wanted Sailor Moon to show up, my god, was Sailor Moon going to show up. This comic is similar in that Master Shiro probably image generated a bunch of shit wildly at random, and that added on top of the randomness of AI 2. And you end up getting a bunch of shit from everywhere. Trolls, orcs, military men, space armor, robots, these fucking dudes from Star Wars. And instead of going, oh wow, that's cool, but probably doesn't fit in this particular comic, you know? Master Shiro instead went, nah, fuck it, I'm sure I can squeeze it in somewhere. And what it effectively leads to is no guidance. The comic has no interest in telling a cohesive plot. It is ultimately just an excuse to get people fighting, which I don't know why you would, because it's the worst thing I've ever seen.
I swear, these AI creators are like people who would enter a running marathon, do the entire thing in a car, and then wonder, why is no one clapping?
And because the comic is all over the place with what can be included, Master Shiro spares no quarter when it comes to just ripping shit off. I know, a stealing AI artist who would have... Wait, I think I've made this joke before. Anyway, if you thought that the Wolverine shit with having metal injected into his body was some cringy theft, you've not seen shit. The comic blatantly steals concepts or either plot lines from everything from Mass Effect to Iron Man to Dragon Ball and JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. It is so blatant that I can't even properly call it inspiration cause, well, frankly, Master Shiro's already proven their proclivity for blatantly stealing, and because the things stolen are so on the nose and hyper specific, it feels wrong to simply brush it off as inspiration.
Like, oh no, this alien invasion with super powerful fighters is gonna come to Earth in a year or two. We have to train so we can fight them. I sure hope one of them doesn't loot my entire shit.
The comic doesn't know what tone it wants to go for either. You have a comic here that has actual instances of children being sexually assaulted by their uncles, terrorism, and visceral gore of brains being eaten and shit, and at the same time, the comic will at random just start going into silly, goofy, hee ha bullshit. You know how there's a difference between a funny character cracking jokes during serious moments, because that's just how they deal with the serious stuff, and then there are humor used to alleviate a scene? Yeah, shut the fuck up, maybe. Because this comic wants none of that. You can have a super serious fight to the death and characters will do something super silly like getting into a slap fight. The translation also probably doesn't help, with characters going from calling people knave to calling people motherfuckers.
Not a single thing in this comic stays consistent. And the comic somehow still demands that you follow along.
I also gotta talk about the pacing of the comic. It is truly something else, and by else I mean terrible, and by terrible I mean it is something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. I don't know why, but the comic seems to be in a genuine rush to get to certain places, and then it'll take its sweet time with shit that doesn't feel important to, well, anything. Multiple things are skipped, and it is then left to someone to explain after the fact. Like, hey, remember how Kia at the beginning finds Saori and rescues her? Yeah, she just kind of vanishes, gets brainwashed by the enemy, and none of this is shown. The whole fight in the tower? Yeah, fuck it, skip that shit. But oh no, motherfucker, if you wanna skip the integral frame of Saori in the shower asking how a girl pisses, you better be taking crazy pills, cause what the fuck?
How does the woman pee indeed?
Ultimately, I can't say much more about the writing than I already have. There is just nothing here. It is a juvenile comic that plays off of the seat of its pants, and even worse, seems to be at the mercy of whatever the AI conjures up. There is no identity to this, no expression by a creator. It is simply anime bullshit fights with none of the care, thought, or heart put into it. It is fucking wild that the one thing that should not be AI in this comic feels like it would actually benefit from an AI writing the script, because even though AI is unreliable, random and spotty, I somehow still feel it could write a more coherent plot than whatever the fuck we got here. The characters are ass, the pace is ass, the premise is actually kinda interesting, but then it immediately gets shadowed by, you guessed it, a ton of more ass. If this is indeed written by someone who is in their 40s, I truly worry about this person's well-being, cause my god, this is straight up cheeks. How you are possibly supposed to stand a chance in comprehending and enjoying a story where the plot goes everywhere, where the text is never not including spelling or grammar errors, and the dialogue is this clumsy and awkward, I got no idea. Frankly, I don't think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to just enjoy the AI art, but that goes in the face of two things.
1. Masashiro's statement that art is only the vehicle for the story. 2. This is AI art, what the fuck is there to enjoy? Speaking of art, I bet you guys have been waiting for this one.
Now, you might say, wow Riser, you didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about the writing this time. And that is because comedically, as much as Masashiro has attempted to prove that art is unimportant, and it is in fact the story that is what drives a comic, they have managed to prove just how important the art is along with the writing. Almost every issue I have with the writing comes back to the art. And you might say that sounds a little strange, but I hope once I'm done talking about the art, you will understand what I mean.
Oh, also just straight out of the gate. The art is going to get a big fat 0, and I mean, it should be obvious why.
Now, what can be said about this comic's quote-unquote art that hasn't already been said? It becomes almost comedically obvious how detrimental the AI is to the art of this comic. Due to the art being like pulling a gacha and hoping to get lucky, it is many times getting in the way of actually conveying what the comic wants to do. It is a comic made out of concessions. It is not, this is what I wanted, it is, this'll do, I guess. And it is throughout the entirety of the comic. It is very much a style over substance comic. Because, you know, if we're being 100% fair, when you look at certain pictures and you ignore anatomical correctness and consistency or logic or common decency, what you get is, at first glance, a pretty picture. Like, the style is sick with its shading and the characters do look pretty. Again, at first glance. And that is because, as I mentioned in my preamble, this is stolen from some artists who put their blood, sweat and tears into perfecting this particular skill. However, what the AI can't do is use logic to implement this style.
So when the creator themselves can't apply logic either, you end up with this clusterfuck.
A comic's art is the right leg to the writing's left. They move in tangent with each other. If one fails, it is up to the other to carry the comic to where it needs to go. If the writing gives you half the picture, the art should do the other half. Art in comics have a way of adding a sense of nuance that is needed for comics to instill thoughts, expectations, and emotions in the reader. If you took Berserk, and I'm only using that because I have an entire video on it you can watch to better understand what I'm talking about, and you wanted to describe Griffith, you can only say so many times how elegant and above this world he feels before it is lost on you. But when you visually see Griffith, you see his doll-like features, how he almost feels incandescent, and how he contrasts guts in just about every visual aspect. You go from knowing it to understanding it. And it's not just in symbolic things like this. Comics have throughout time helped set up tones and scenes, highlight actions, convey feelings and thoughts better than any descriptive sentence could. And when you mix art with logic, you effectively get graphic design. And graphic design helps conveying stuff in a way that makes it easier to parse and comprehend.
I'm not saying that there's no logic to art or anything, don't worry. I'm just quoting what my teacher said when I was studying graphic design, and I want to make a point.
When you have art with no logic, you end up with something that's pretty to look at, but not something that conveys information in a conscious manner. And that is something you desperately need for a comic. If you think back to my Floraverse review, I brought this very same thing up. How the art could be pretty, but it would actively hinder you in understanding what was going on the page, and a lot of the comic's plot would be lost due to the artist failing to convey the information in a way that the audience understands. It is what I'm effectively referring to when I mention how someone can be a good artist but a bad comic artist. So, returning to Chaos City, what you get is indeed chaos. Because there's no logic to any of it. Characters will change appearances constantly, scenes will take place in different areas, tone and scenes will be completely ignored, sometimes the comic will be in color, sometimes it'll use images of real people. The literal only thing that allows you as the audience to understand what is going on is that you have most likely read a comic before. So you understand that if pictures are arranged in a sequence like this, you understand they're telling a series of events following each other.
And that is your only saving grace.
Master Shiro likes to say that the art is just a vehicle for the story, and that the story is the key component, and you can agree or disagree all you want. I don't really care. I disagree personally, but that's whatever. But when the art is so fucking dogshit and inconsistent, it actively gets in the way of the story. When the comic first started introducing fucking trolls or orcs or whatever the shit they are, I legit thought it was just the AI going crazy again, but no. When this bishy guy shows up sporting a t-shirt, I thought it was just some punk off the street until I found out it's Loki from earlier. When I see this fully mature lady here with black hair, golden hoop earrings, and a button-up shirt jacket, I immediately assume that it's impossible for her to be the blonde Cammy when she was a homeless child, cause, I mean, actual laws of reality would have to be broken for this to be a thing. The comic does this shit with damn near every panel, meaning you constantly have to readjust your mindset as to what is going on. You stop yourself constantly to go, oh wait, so that's what happened? And then you have to backtrack and read the last few frames again because you effectively acquired a cipher to crack the code that is this comic. This means nothing flows naturally. There is never a series of information that you can just consume. It's like trying to write a story, but every now and again, your writing program just randomly changes your words, so you have to go back and fix it.
Imagine listening to a song, but every 5 seconds it jumps back 3 seconds in time. You try and enjoy that.
It was either an incredibly brave move or an incredibly stupid move, and I'll let you guys decide which it is, for Master Shiro to make a comic using AI and make that comic one where people fight as the primary thing. Cause despite what an AI bro might tell you, AI art is not all powerful. It is in fact incredibly limited. Having characters interact in any capacity, at least in this comic, seems to be something the comic just can't do. This means most of the time when characters fight each other, they'll just be left alone in a panel striking a pose, and some stupid fucking effect will be layered on top of it. If a person gets stabbed or caused to bleed in any way, that shit will just happen off frame, because the image generator can't do that. I even think that is why the comic starts going so hard on magic, because it is in a sense a way to get around the AI not being able to make humans fighting each other. Heck, sometimes it actually looks like characters are about to cut their own arm off because the AI doesn't know what the fuck it is doing. And it is in fact this for anything that is slightly more advanced than what you can make an art doll do. You want a character to look like she's conjuring a flower? Shouldn't be too hard, right? Hold some hands out, add a little glow, remember to add 5 fingers, and you're good. Yeah, AI can't seem to do that, as that shit will just be written out in text. Heck, most of the time, the text is actively fighting against what is happening on the image, cause remember, this is a comic made out of concessions. The same girl who made a flower? Yeah, she's also making candy flowers now, right? Bitch, that's just a regular fucking flower. And you mean to tell me she created multiple? With the taste of blueberry, strawberry, and winter melon? The fuck? And it's not just short descriptive text like that. Instead of showing the thing actually happening, many times you're left to read what happened. Jamal succumbed to his fate. Sayuki had twisted his spinal cord, severed the blood circulation to the brain. Bitch, when? At no point does this man's body twist more than a degree.
Also, the spinal cord is not what supplies blood to the brain. That would be the carotid artery, you dumb fuck.
There are also multiple instances where you can see how Master Shiro fed the AI prompts that the AI didn't apply logic to. Like in this example, you can tell Master Shiro fed the AI machine that they wanted a guy in a striped shirt because they wanted an old-timey prison shirt, I guess. And sure enough, the AI gave them just that. But again, the AI can't apply logic, and Master Shiro is so fucking stupid that they would sell their car for gas money, so they forgot to account for the fact that prison shirt stripes are horizontal, not vertical. Also, these uniforms haven't been used since the 1920s, but you know, you should probably know that if you were indeed American, you lying cunt. There's also an instance where you can tell Master Shiro has just told the AI, man shoots beam, and that was all. So the AI interpreted that as just that, when instead what I think what Master Shiro was going for was something more akin to Dragon Ball. This leads to the comic, in a comedic full-page spread, having a character use the exact same attack twice, yet the projectile switches from coming from his hands to coming from his chest.
And that leads me to my next problem. Master Shiro is a lazy, lying cunt.
So let's remember, real quick, Master Shiro has effectively said that they only use AI for the backgrounds, and even then, it's only 40% of the background. I don't think I have to be a lawyer to prove my case that that's simply not true. With how many times I have seen things bleed together, ignore logic, the insane switch between outfits, hairstyles and colors amongst panels next to each other. Like bro, if you're gonna use AI, at least just say so. You're gonna be a bitch, but at least be it honestly. At least then I could respect you for being open about it. But you wanna play this game? That all this is mostly made by you? By pen, as you put it? Fine. Let me criticize you as if that was the case then.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
The lazy portion is of course not just regulated to the AI, the art that Master Shiro makes. It is how they've chosen to handle those images. I already raised a stink about it earlier, but the staggering little amount of work that has been put in compositioning the pages is legit unreal. I know composition isn't the sexiest thing to do, especially if what you are most experienced with is just drawing characters and what have you, but we're talking, like if there was a level beneath basic, that's where we're at.
Like, oh, you want to read these voice bubbles? Alright, sure, roll a dice and it will decide which order to read these bubbles in. And no, it's not a 6-sided dice, it's a D20. Good fucking luck!
The comic constantly switches back and forth in reading direction. Right to left, left to right, up to down, down to up, both sides and in the middle. Read this panel and then the other one prior. Like it is insane to me that this went through. Also, the voice bubbles are all the same. The bubble only has 5 words? Yeah, fuck it. Give it the same size as one that has 20. People are having a conversation? Yeah, fuck it. Just separate all the voice bubbles from one another instead of stringing them together. The speaker is not in frame? Fuck it. Give the voice bubble a tail so it looks like the furniture is talking. Sound effects? Yeah, sometimes have it be in English and other times in kanji. Fuck it. Do both on the same page. See what happens.
I want to send a formal apology to Philip Brown who made Yosh, wherein you had a conversation that happened between 2 panels and I made fun of that. I'm sorry. I did not know how bad it could get.
I mentioned it before, but the quality control of this comedy is just flooring me in how completely absent it is. Like, oh no, this character has 4 fingers. Fuck it, it's AI, that happens, whatever. Whoops. No, it's not AI. Masashiro drew this all themselves, my bad. But then there are things where it just becomes rather funny. Like this chick here, right? She clearly has cloth bracelets on. Yeah, sometimes she has metal gauntlets. This wave, yeah, now it's a Pokemon. This guy is wearing 2 articles of clothing on his torso. Now he's only wearing 1. And it isn't one of the 2 he wore earlier. Oh, and by the way, all of these were in the same comic spread, mind you. The character that's wearing an eye patch, at first he isn't wearing any, and then he's wearing 2, before going back to 1, and then back to 2. And when we see him again later, his eye patch keeps switching between his left and his right eye. This character goes from having double Ds to becoming a man. This chick has a brassiere on her back for those pesky back titties. This character goes from only wearing 1 pauldron, to wearing 2, to wearing none, to wearing a full armor, to wearing one that looks like a power armor, to going back to wearing only pauldrons. Like, I could go on. There are so many instances of poor quality control. Could you really not be asked to go back and tell the AI, tell your brain, hey, I like this image, just remove the armor except the pauldrons, or you added bracelets to this guy which he shouldn't have, make the image again, this time without bracelets. Like, it genuinely feels that none of these images were ever redone due to what they got not fitting with the rest.
You know those books you could get as a kid where you have 2 identical pictures, but one picture has slight differences from the other, and you then have to like find the small differences? I think the only way you can get enjoyment out of this comic is if you treat the frames like that.
You also know that sometimes the AI, the artistic prowess of Masashiro just completely dropped the ball, and so Masashiro would have to write themselves out of the artistic shortcoming. Like the time where Saori is in the car and Masashiro clearly couldn't get the right image they wanted, so they had to make some bullshit writing excuse as to why Saori suddenly posed in putting up her hair. There are also just other times where not even that was done, and they couldn't get a background to fit with a scene, so instead they opted for just not including one.
Like, bro, you can see Marcelo? I fucking can't. I can't see shit. I guess I must have gone blind.
I want to say I wouldn't have a gripe with this AI art if it at least wasn't lazy, but that would be a lie. But I now have an even bigger gripe with the AI art, because it is fucking lazy on top of being lazy. It is lazy to the 2nd degree. I get that writing prompts into a computer is so hard. It must take so much time out of your day. Like, how do you do it, you poor baby? But at least you could run it through again until you got something passable. An image is not passable just because it has a lot of details. Those details have to be correct. Like, motherfucker, I'm not even fucking playing this up for the script or anything. I am legit fucking angry here. You have this image here as a chapter page, so clearly you must think it's solid. And sure, there are a lot of details, but where did this horn come from? Did you knock it off with your stick? The fuck is this thing behind you? It doesn't seem to have a body and consists of just legs. Like, brother, this is your chapter page. This is where you flaunt your shit. Like, look at this from Bleach. This one from iShield 21. This one from Dragon Ball Super. And then your goofy ass is over here trying to distract us with pretty colors like we're watching fucking Demon Slayer fights.
Again, it's style over substance. There's absolutely no substance, and the style you're using has been stolen from someone else. So you have effectively added fuck all.
This comic is so bad with its art and presentation that even if I was charitable and looked beyond the blatant use of AI, I still couldn't give it any higher than a 3, because the poor presentation is doing so much damage to the comic, it effectively ruins the entire experience. Reading House of Leaves is easier, and that book is made specifically to confuse you with unreliable narrators and what have you. I genuinely do not understand how you could look at this and go, oh yeah, this is fine for publishing. Masashiro has gone out and complimented comics that look like this. And I would 10 times rather read this, because at least this is something I can understand and enjoy. This shit is confusing, ugly, and annoying, and it is one of the funniest things I read in a long while because of it. In this show, I've always liked to think that we are laughing with a comic when it's bad. Like, oh wow, you did a dumb thing, but fuck it, it can be improved, and at least you're making something good on you. But this comic might just be the first comic I can think of where we can all come together and laugh at it. This is the perfect comic for hate reading. This is the kind of comic I would recommend people coming together and read and just laugh at how bad it is and how bad a liar Master Shiro is. I obviously do not condone that you attack them in any way. But if you were ever to put yourself through the horrors that is this comic, at least do so with some friends, some jovial fun, and perhaps some alcohol, and you're gonna have fun with how terrible this comic is.
I swear, it becomes like a treasure hunt for you and your friends to try and find the next dumb thing. And boy, is there a lot of treasure.
The first impression is a 2. For a comic that tries so hard to be so cool, I have seldomly seen a comic that only captured my attention with how bad it was as much as this comic. This intro is not a hook, it's a warning. The writing is a 3. I guess if you really hunkered down, deciphered all the broken English, terrible conveyance, and all over the place plot, then maybe you would have something kids would think is, as they say, lit. The art is a 0. Like, are we even surprised? I'm not gonna give points to tracers, so why should I give it to people who couldn't even be asked to do that much? If anything, I wanna... Actually, fuck it. -8. Fuck you. Pick up a pencil. The final verdict of Chaos City is a 1. This sure is a comic that exists. But I would argue it probably shouldn't. This is a comic that has actively taken away more than it has added to the world, and I hope one day Master Shiro outgrows AI so they can stop polluting our planet for the sake of giving us dog shit like this.
So I want to just take a moment to touch base with you guys for a moment here. A lot of my audience are artists who hope to use their artistic endeavors to end up making a living and basically make that their full-time job. And I know a lot of you are worried about the rise of AI and whether or not that is threatening your abilities to work in the future. And I get that worry, especially because this is as bad as AI will ever be. It's only going to get better from here on. And I know, it's scary. So your fear is 100% valid. But I also want to say, do not let this deter you from making stuff. AI is unfortunately, whether we want it or not, here to stay. But we are also seeing a rise in people being able to point out AI art and ridicule it because of it. The zeitgeist for what imagery you could create through AI has slowly started to going away. And I believe that people are becoming more conscious about what they're consuming and able to tell whether something is AI or not, and are actively moving away from cheering for AI and rather moving towards the human aspect of things. This is something I have seen a lot of in my professional career. I personally think that in a few years AI will still be here, but people will be actively looking for the human aspect of imagery and the creative within. And maybe that's just me being hopeful, but I hope not. But as I said, AI is here to stay, whether we want it or not. And we can hate on it and ridicule it as much as we want, but it's not going to go away. So instead, do what you can. I'll be leaving resources in my description that you can use to poison your artwork, making it so that AI models cannot properly analyze your art and thus copy it. If we can't work against it, we can work around it. So again, don't let AI scare you, don't let it deter you, just keep on doing what you do best. And to all the AI bros who are watching this, pick up a fucking pencil, would you? The joy is in the journey, not the end result. I'll see you guys in the next Webcomic Relief. Take care.
Look at you, champ. Stronger than ever. The world watching your every move. Everything changes, but one thing remains the same. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show 'em!
what's up? No more quarters, everybody about to find out. Rush that shit down, they about to come back, show out. Take it to the last game, last round. What's up? No more quarters, everybody about to find out. Street Fighter 6.
Alright, so hi, yeah. Before you click off the video, we have 2 announcements about what is coming up on the channel, and I think you might be interested in hearing them. First things first, I have been teasing a little bit on the Webcomic Relief Discord. I also think I mentioned it on Twitter, but a new documentary series is coming. It will be only in 2 parts this time, but a new documentary is coming. If you want your name or something featured within that documentary's credits, then you can pledge to the Patreon. Everyone who is pledging there will get thrown into the credits as thank you for supporting the show. This is a doozy. Not that Floor Wars wasn't, but look forward to it. Second thing, and this one is pertaining a little more to the video we just had. I kind of wanted to try something a little different, and I want to try and prove that you do not need AI. So I'm going to try and start a show on my separate channel called SideQuest, where I will be trying to make money through art and like documenting that experience, going from knowing nothing to hopefully being able to make some money. I plan on trying to use this as a way to also teach other aspiring artists about commission prices and stuff. I want to see if I can interview other incredible artists and pick their brains for the secret sauce and stuff. So if this is something you'll be interested in, let me know. I might put it on the Webcomic Relief channel. I will have to gauge what you guys want. But for now, let's take a look at the amazing people who helped sponsoring this episode of the Webcomic Relief. Amocin. Amocin doesn't want to push anything this time, so just know they're super awesome and a long-running supporter of the Webcomic Relief. Nicholas Knudson. Nicholas hasn't gotten back to me about what he wants me to push, so for now, just know that he's a really cool dude. Sebastian Vandborg. Sebastian wants me to push the Twitter account Curious Zelda, which has a rich plethora of cute and funny cat images. He doesn't own the account or anything, but he just really likes cats, so there you go. Athlai. Athlai hasn't gotten back to me about what they want me to push, so you know the drill, they're just a super awesome person who deserves all the love. Hugo Junstrand. My boy Hugo, who is the one making my title cards, is working on his original series called Torch Drop. It's a fantasy story where animals steal body parts from other species. If this sounds like your cup of tea, there's a link to Hugo's YouTube channel down below where you can watch some animations that highlights the tone of this series. Marshall Starr. DR, as we call him, is the artist behind the cool sci-fi comic called Marshall Starr. If you want some good old sci-fi western action presented with some banging art, then this is the comic for you. Why Not Warrior. Why Not Warrior wants me to push the webcomic known as Hope. The comic is about superheroes that get into trouble and who has to save the universe from an evil empire known only as Spade. When the young girl Raylan gets targeted by this evil empire, she joins forces with her friends to take them down and save the galaxy. Foxy Boy. Foxy Boy wants me to push their webcomic called Happy Father's Day, a Silent Hill crossover comic. Now, don't let the fact that this is done with mice fool you. This is a great and spooky ass comic, and I warmly recommend that you check it out. And of course, also a massive shout out to Drake of Adrian, Nina Ha, Rojaru, Sasha Sketchy, Shiv, The Bonsai, Tomadak, and Varatri. And also a huge shout out to all the lovely people that you're seeing on screen right now. If you want to support the show, please go to my Patreon. Here you can donate anything you want and get to watch my videos early, and all of it will be much appreciated as it helps supporting the show. Just go to www.patreon.com/riser with 2 eyes. You can also go to my Ko-fi and donate some money there if you are interested. The link is in the description as well.
If you want to watch me on Twitch, you can do so at twitch.tv/crownlessking with 2 eyes. Here, you'll sometimes see dumb stuff like this happen. Every time someone walks forward like that in the shot, it's always like setting up them for them to like get hurt or attack in any way. There it is. I'd actually like whole ass didn't like know that was going to happen. If you don't want to support the show financially, at least think about liking the video, subscribing to the channel, or sharing your favorite Webcomic Relief episode with your friends. I'll see you guys at the next Webcomic Relief. Take care.